I'm missing my lake.
Welcome to Heart, everyone. Navigating Lipedema Together. Catherine and I are here with you today to talk all things lipedema, work, life, and everything in between. Catherine, what are you most excited about today?
I'm most excited about my lake.
Your lake. Yes, Catherine is moving and she's got a lake, and we are excited about it.
And I will show it to you before the end of this podcast. But I'm so excited to have Shawn and Ashley with us today. Shawn and Ashley are just the feistiest, most amazing two young women that have lipedema and have been advocates and have been incredibly active in spreading the word, helping literally thousands of women worldwide. And they're so fun. You know, what Lisa and I often talk about is that, having a chronic disease and dealing with some of the things that we deal with, as complex as it is, that we can have connection and caring and fun. And I think Ashley and Shawn represent that to me.
Oh, I'm really excited about it too. And I love this word fun so much because when you are navigating work, motherhood, caregiving, life, sometimes lipedema doesn't feel that fun. And Catherine, you make it fun for me, right? We laugh. We go, oh yeah, I couldn't. Remember the other day, I couldn't get my leg up. When I was standing up. Like there's things that happen that when people get it and understand you, it makes it easier to navigate. So we're gonna have a heart to heart with Shawn Bigby and Ashley Fisher today, and I'm so excited about that.
And I love that. See, lipedema strikes women at all ages, starting with puberty and at different hormonal disturbances. So, puberty, pregnancy, perimenopause. We're across the spectrum. We really, it's so good to be able to chat with Shawn and Ashley. We're going to bring them on right now.
Yeah, let's bring them up, and then I think there's Shawn Bigby, the Lipedema Mama, Ashley Fisher, Lippy Lady, co-host of Lipedema Podcast. Whoop whoop,
Hey
Lipedema
guys.
Mamas.
Hey,
Whoop
hello.
whoop.
Whoop whoop. Hey, I wanted to ask you guys. Well, I would love to tell a story to bring us in, right? So I want to figure out how you two met. Let me tell you how Catherine and I met real quick as our intro. So I watched her documentary and began following her everywhere I could find. I was in a mastermind group for facilitation, and in a small little WhatsApp channel, there was a picture of Catherine, and I thought, is she in this mastermind group with me? And I didn't even know it. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I can't just reach out to her. I need to I don't know, find an intro. So I went to the liaison of the group and I said, this woman saved my life. She helped me figure out the disease I have. I'd like to say thank you. Can you connect me? And all of a sudden, here comes a Voxer. I'm in with Voxer. Catherine and I are going back and forth. And I was so shocked at how much we had in common, how open she was, and how my heart just connected to her so fast. I think that may be similar to you guys, but I don't know. I'm so
Yeah,
curious to hear from you. How did you two meet and decide to do this work together?
yeah. Do you want to take it, Shawn, or me?
Go ahead.
So it's very similar, actually, because when I found out that lipedema was an actual condition, of course, I went scouring the internet and Instagram to find anybody that could tell me anything. And the one person that I found first that would post consistently about living.
Oh no.
Let's see if Ashley can come on back. That was that's on purpose, everyone. This is the way we have you lean in and hold
Yep.
on with the live stream on what she
Yep.
has to say.
You're on the edge of your seat. The edge of your
Yeah,
seat.
I see her
Okay.
coming back.
Is she?
Oh, it's
She'll be back.
yeah, it's an internet connection.
Well, Shawn, can you
Oh,
fill
okay.
in
Yeah.
blanks? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know what she's gonna say because I've heard her tell this story before. But yeah, so she saw my social media and she reached out to me on Instagram and we just started chatting back and forth. And then
Sorry.
oh, there she is.
Sorry. Keep
Nope.
I
going.
got as far as you reached out to me on Instagram.
Yes. So I would ask her questions like, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? And she was kind enough to answer me, which was like, oh, yay, somebody who, gets it. And she's actually taking the time to answer. And then one day we had started, for whatever reason, probably because we were typing so much back and forth, we just started shooting voice memos back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And we just kind of said, you know what, why don't we meet? We know that we live only a couple of hours apart. So why don't we meet and just kind of see if we jive? And then we met for some Mexican food. And it was the first time that either one of us had actually sat across the table from someone who knew that they had lipedema. And it just clicked, and it's literally history from there. It just I think honestly, it was probably within the next month we started going down the road of recording the first podcast episode and planning all of that. We just connected on not only having the disease, but wanting to help other women with it. So, yep.
It's so similar, isn't it, Catherine? This is so, I think the universe conspires for us, right? Whatever you believe in, whatever higher power you have, there's the divine nudge, there's the inner knowing, and then there's just trusting the process.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very similar with Catherine and I. I never in a million years would have thought I'd be co-hosting a podcast or managing director in Lipedema Simplified and the research arm Lipedema Project. I thought I just wanted to say thank you and connect,
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. What about you, Shawn? What was your experience?
Yeah, like Ashley said, I had been doing the Lipedema Mama for a little bit, and so I had connected with women through instant messenger, and some people we would kind of voice memo back and forth, but I had never sat across from someone and actually just not just talked about it, but see her body shape, and when she walked in, and I'm like, man, that's so familiar, like just all the things, and so, yeah, we just clicked right away. And I think what we recognized right away was how impactful it was to share our story with someone that understood, and how much that helped us heal, if you will. And so we knew immediately, man, we've got to take this to other people and have other people involved in this. And so that's kind of where we brainstormed and came up with the podcast and some things like that. So
yeah, that's so cool. Catherine,
I think I just wanted to say, I think what we're each of us are really pointing to, which is what I've found in the lipedema community, is relationship, and how profoundly healing it is to be witnessing ourselves and each other in a very particular way that allows for us to be with others who know what it's like. That's the bottom line. Someone without lipedema really doesn't know. They may think they know. They may try and get it. They may be kind and loving, but they don't know what it's like to wake up in the morning, put your legs over the bed, and try and get up and not be able to move.
Yeah, and I think that we've learned to isolate ourselves in that regards when it comes to lipedema and the struggles that we've had with that and our body image and all of those things. We've learned that other women don't necessarily struggle with the same thing, so we just keep it to ourselves. And I think that, and we know, when you're depressed or you have anxiety and you're isolating, that's just the worst thing you can do. So I think kind of opening that up and meeting other people and sharing that, it's just so healing. We say it all the time, but it really is.
Yeah, I wanted to bring in some voices, talk about not being alone. We've got some people already chatting with us. Glenda, hi. Sherry, hello. Tamara, we're so glad you're here. A couple of these ladies actually hosted some of our in-person meetups last weekend. And
good.
It's blowing up. Similar to what you're saying is we invite strangers to get together, and they walk in and go, oh my gosh, you look like me. We sit like me. That's how I felt in Potsdam. Everyone walked like me. I was like, well, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And so the circles are happening for us. I know you guys have your virtual meetups as well. We do that all the time. And I think whether you're in person or virtually, when you can be with people that get you, there's such a, I think it just resources us from stress so deeply to just go, okay, I don't have to put on a show or act like everything's perfect. I can be tired, or I can be in pain, or my dog jumped on my lap and I can say, ouch. And no one's going to think, why are you so sensitive?
Right.
So yeah. So Jeannie's here, and Marilee, good morning. So, Ashley, Shawn, one of the questions I wanted to ask you today is really around working and having lipedema. And one of the things I've been trying to bring into the world is employers being more aware of what this disease is, how it progresses, why our appointments for MLD or complete decongestive therapy, much less everything else that we need to go through, why they matter.
Right.
Do you have any insight you want to share on just what should employers know? It's not like we're not capable of working. We look at all of us. We are working very hard. And the workplace needs to understand it more so we can have a more flexible, empowering situation. What are your thoughts on working in lipedema?
Yeah, I think, we live in a society now that has grown in its ability to hold space for different categories of all kinds of people with all kinds of limitations and otherwise. And I think that, just like we have allowances in the workplace for certain handicaps, I think it comes to being brave enough to talk about, hey, like my disability or my ailment might not look like a wheelchair. It may look like that. I was a teacher, so this is what I go back to. In the classroom, they wanted you on your feet in the mix with the kids all day long. Well, if I'm stage 2, 3, and upwards, there's going to come a point in my day where I need to take a seat. I have to take a seat. And I think just going in and being brave enough to say, to really flex your muscles and your strengths and know yourself and say, hey, I am an excellent, like my classroom management is on point. My lessons are fabulous. You may walk in from time to time and see me sitting. Let me tell you why. And I think communication is a huge thing. And I think that the more that we do that and the more that we prove ourselves in other ways, in our integrity, in our kindness, in the work that we do, that people, that allowance to go, okay, maybe we need to allow, some freedom here for her to move in the way that she needs to move, but man, is she good at her job, so I'm not even worried about her. You know what I mean? I think communicating is a big part of it, and kind of, being your own advocate. We talk all the time about being your own best advocate in the doctor's office, but doing that in the workplace as well. And a lot of that comes down to just kind of gentle communication, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that this is just another reason that awareness is so important, because I think back to when I didn't work for myself and I worked in corporate, I didn't know I had lipedema. And so the times where I can think back now and think, oh, wait, this was probably related to lipedema. I didn't know that. And so I just felt, I just thought, like, honestly, a lot of it came back to like, I'm just overeating and I'm putting myself in this situation where I don't have enough energy and I can't stand like and why, like, and I blamed myself. And I think back on an instance where I was, I guess, out of college, but I was working with a staffing agency looking at different jobs. And I struggled so hard back then to find pants that fit me. I feel like maybe now companies have gotten a little bit more like size inclusive and things are shaped differently. But back then, like I struggled really hard. And I remember searching for work pants that would be like really nice and presentable. And I looked and looked and I scoured and scoured. I finally found some that I thought fit okay. But I'll never forget going in, and the lady like kind of assessed me and she said, oh, honey, like, no, your pants are way too tight on your thighs. That is not a good look. That's not professional. And I mean, now they were tight because they had to fit my waist, and that's just how, like, I just couldn't find things. But I remember feeling so just like, oh my gosh, like I am just not professional. I'm not, like, why didn't I think of that? Why, and there's just so much guilt and shame and so many different aspects. So I think awareness, again, is just so important, because had I have known, maybe then I could have, like Ashley said, communicated and spoken up for myself, and things would have been really different. But it's tough.
Yeah.
I really appreciate this story so much. You're making me have all my flashbacks of my own journey. When Catherine and I talk about this regularly, how I would hide in certain meetings, or, they would be like, let's have a team offsite at the beach. And I'm like, really? Right.
Yep.
And yet now I'm like, wait a minute, I have a disease. I almost feel like I can be the poster child. I found more confidence, showing up wearing clothing that shows my body, because now I feel like I'm a walking educator. So, but back then I hid all the time. I had massive shame, self-doubt, insecurity. I was always comparing myself to others. And I just think of all the energy I could have saved to actually I'm really great at my job too, but what I could have done, how might I have been less burnt out or stressed out, and just recognizing that there was really nothing wrong with me.
Right.
Yeah.
There was something going on in my body. And I mean, yeah, I appreciate that. Catherine, what would you like to add to this conversation? Because I know you always drop some magical words here.
You both became so proactive. When you started, what motivated you, and how did you navigate such a complex disease? And what's on the internet is very confusing and contradictory a lot of times.
Yeah, it is. Um, one painstaking step at a time. And I think I do think that one common thread that we all share is, I don't know what we would call it, but there's just enough like gumption in us that it's like, okay, all right, if this is what I've got, well then I'm going to make some lemonade out of lemons, or I'm going to do something. I can't just sit back and let life happen to me. I'm going to attack it. I'm going to make the best of it. Life can still be good. Life can still be fun. I think that, because things on the internet can be so confusing, that's where Shawn and I have really tried to put our heads together on ways that we can create things that take that confusion out, that what took us all months to figure out, we've wanted to streamline and make it easier and like a one-stop place. So that's why we created the conservative therapy course. And we know this struggle so well that we just, as much as we can, we want to alleviate some of that, the hard part as much as we can, because it's going to be hard, right? Like either way, it's going to be hard, but where we can alleviate some of that stress, that's just where I think us being able to create things to do that for other women has been healing for us. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's really inspiring. Shawn, did you want to add?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we say that all the time, like helping others has helped us more than it's helped anyone else. And so we encourage people in whatever way they can do that, even if that's just leaving some pamphlets at a doctor's office or speaking up for themselves in the workplace, which may speak up for the next woman, that helping others in that way is going to help them as well. But when I first started, and I had recently been diagnosed, and that's a whole process of acceptance and like, is this even real? So that it took me a few years, honestly, to wrap my mind around it. But once I did, I realized like how much I wasn't seeing my body represented online. I wasn't seeing influencers, if you will, share clothes that fit my body type. It just wasn't out there. And it kind of was connecting dots for me on like why I feel so insecure or not good enough, because I'm not seeing my body. I'm not seeing it on TV. I'm not seeing it on social media, in magazines, anything like that. I mean, I'm seeing some beautiful plus size bodies now, but they still don't look like my body.
Mm-hmm.
And so as much as I had hidden my body for my whole life, I just felt like, you know what, I'm not seeing this, and that really bothers me. I'm going to try to bridge that gap, and I want to step in and be that. And I started, posting and showing my body on the internet. And I was a little bit concerned about the feedback that I was going to get. And like, I guess it could have gone two ways. Like people could have ripped me to shreds and I would have like retreated and been like, oh my gosh, like this is horrible. But that's not what happened. Like women were like, what, this is me, you know? And those connections, making those connections with other women, was just, it changed everything.
Yeah.
And so and we've heard so many times from others. Now I don't even know if I'm still on your question, Catherine, but we've heard so many times from other women in just little ways. And it doesn't have to be getting online and sharing, you know, things on social media, but just in little ways that they are speaking up for themselves, that they have some pride about that. And it kind of takes back some of that, a little bit of that guilt and that shame. And even if it's just that they're like, you know what, I went to my doctor and they didn't know about it, but I told them about it and they were receptive and they, you know, they asked me questions and they're proud of themselves for that. And so I feel like it's like little piece by piece, kind of taking back some of that power that you had lost for all those years, not knowing what was going on with your body.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I
think I may have gotten totally off topic there. So.
No, you're right on topic, Shawn, because what you're
Okay.
talking about is what it takes to empower oneself. And that is what I hear. How do you manage? You've got 4 kids. Ashley, you have 3?
3.
Yeah. It's like, how do you? I watched Lisa. She has 1, and how much time it takes. How on earth do you guys do it?
Yeah, Ashley and I had this conversation this morning. lots of coffee, she says. But I mean, I'll be kind of real and vulnerable here because I think that is what reaches people the most and helps. But I'm going through a divorce and I've had my 4 kids by myself for 45 days. And I don't have family that lives near me. And it's overwhelming. It just is. I mean, and there are times like lately, Ashley and I recorded a podcast episode just this week where we talked about this, but there are times where lipedema takes a back burner. It has to. I don't have the time. I mean, we all know that trying to manage it can feel like a full-time job at times. And so Ashley and I, we've been using this little slogan that Patty from Lipedema Fitness uses, and it resonated and it helps, but it's all or something. And so there's a lot of times like right now in my life where I can't do it all. And I was doing it all for a very long time. You know, and I felt on top of it. But now I just can't. And but I can do something. So I try to do something that's going to help. Even if it's something little. And then talking with people about that and being real and being open and vulnerable and saying like, I'm overwhelmed. I mean, but having somebody sit across from you and say, you know what, it's okay. All or something, just do something. You don't have to do it all. And then this won't be the way life is forever. It's a season, and just having someone, you know, there that can kind of cheer you on. And so hopefully that's my message of encouragement to anyone else who feels completely overwhelmed, whether it's kids at home for the summer or you're going through a divorce or you're going through something. We're all going through something, you know, that it won't be that way forever. Just do what you can.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it really does all go back to community, because again, Shawn and I were literally texting this morning going, oh my gosh, because, you know, having the kiddos home, you know, during summertime, and they range, they're still pretty young. I mean, between the two of us, we have 4-year-old to 9-year-olds. And so they're all, you know, still they need their mama. And if they need a snack, they're calling mama. And if they need a channel change, they're calling mama. And we're trying to, you know, just before I was like, okay, I've got this thing. I need y'all to be in here. You know, it's a beautiful chaos. But I think that, you know, having like a friend to go and message and be like, girl, today has been a day. It's almost everything that we need. It doesn't change the fact that the day-to-day is hard, but being seen in the hard and being understood in the hard makes it like, okay, I can do this. You know, it's you can do hard things, but especially when you've got somebody that you can communicate with and relate with who gets it too. You know, it just helps.
Yeah.
I'm so with you all. Yeah, I was like, why did we schedule this right when summer started? I texted
No.
Shawn. I texted Shawn because I'm going to go live with you guys, right?
Yes.
And I completely dropped the ball. And I was like, guess what? My daughter, we had completion of school last week. We're moving. I don't even know what day it is. I am so sorry, right? And it's like, no problem. And I
Yeah.
think there's something beautiful about, instead of me being like, I missed my email. No, I messed up. Life's upside down. I didn't realize how much goes on the last week of school when you're in 6th grade. It's different than 5th grade. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
So to be able to have each other and to know that and to presence that, I think is so important. And what I appreciate about Catherine so much is I will Voxer her all the time and go, whatever's going on, right? We moved my office for the 3rd time. I think last time I saw you guys, my lighting was totally different. And I couldn't figure out why. It's because we keep moving my office because we're trying to show our house. So we
Oh.
keep moving my office, right? I'm like, why do I look dead today? I don't know. We're
Yeah.
going live, right?
Yeah.
There's so much that goes on in just daily life. And I think
Mm.
you, I want to say thank you to both of you. And specifically, Shawn, when you started showing your body, and then Ashley, when you started doing your dancing, showing the whole thing, right? So I was trying to figure out how to bring my whole self to work, right? I do the lipedema stuff over in Lipedema land. I do my consulting over in tech world, right? And to bring my whole self, I'm like, I can't take lipedema out of me. I can't take motherhood out of me. This is me.
Yeah.
And so, when I launched my speaking page a couple of months ago, I felt such a relief to just be like, there's my pictures of my body. This is who I am. This is what I talk about. And feeling more whole actually is that my all or something.
Mm.
Feeling more whole takes all that energy back so I can do my all or something. And both of you showing your bodies and telling your stories online was a really big deal for me to step into my place.
Mm.
And then for Catherine to have the documentary and where she showed all of the ladies before us standing up, being diagnosed, being in their underwear and bras, showing their body parts. I was like, okay, I can show myself in a tank top, or I can show myself in a dress, or not wear the maxi dress this time, and show my compression and just be a part of this. So I really appreciate the realness of it all because, yeah, it does feel like a full-time job. And when you can be whole in yourself, we take some of the stress off of trying to figure out what role we're playing today,
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Catherine, I want to ask you, when you first started everything, did you ever think that you'd be sitting here with these two lovely ladies, seeing the ripple effect of just all that started when you didn't know what lipedema was and you brought people together for the first time and started educating the world? Like, I just want to acknowledge your impact on all of us.
I was just thinking that, like, you guys, Catherine is the reason that I'm here. I mean, I saw a lady's body with lipedema on Facebook, and Lipedema Simplified, the Lipedema Project is the first place I went, and that's where I learned about everything. So it does feel full circle, and it's surreal, honestly, to sit every time I meet with you guys. And but yeah, I thank you so much, Catherine, for the work that you've done.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so much first circle. And it's one of these relational, you hear me talk about relationship and community all the time. When I started, I had no idea. I just knew one thing. I knew I had to do something. And if I didn't do it, I was at the place where I was on my way to a wheelchair. And so, and that was not okay with me. But each step of the way, it's the same kind of thing, like Ashley, Shawn, Catherine, Lisa, Leslyn, Gail, Siobhan, is where we're there and learning together and supporting each other. And I often think of it, it's like, someone's on one step up and brings someone on that step. And then the other one goes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and we somehow are able to support one another. And I think part of it is in some ways because there's so little that was known about lipedema. When I started, there was one person in all of the United States, one, and that was Dr. Herbst. And at the time, she was more focused on Derkham's disease than on lipedema. That was it, one person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit. And then what opens up is understanding and knowledge. And there's a combination between what I find fascinating, which is the science part and understanding the intricacies of the medical components, which is fascinating, but even more than that, but living with it. And living with, for me, there's so much emotional backlash. I've had some significant lymphatic issues over the past 2 years. And so I just know, start where it starts, with my body. And this is what we say to everybody. You are the expert in the one thing that nobody else knows as well as you, which is your body. And if you observe, if you listen, if you're tracking what happens, you become a, a encyclopedia of your body so that you can begin to navigate it. So anyway, that's yeah, that's where we are. And I'm like, oh my God. I was thinking, especially this month with its Lipedema Awareness Month, ah, I have felt more relaxed than I have in years. There's so many out there doing wonderful work, um, and spreading the message, which is what we need. Needs to come from the community. And which brings me to you ladies. Please share with people about your courses and about your circle.
Ashley, you want to?
All right. So, I don't know. I just like, I have to echo what Shawn said. Catherine, I just hope that moments like these are just sweet for you, because we wouldn't be here without you. And I want to honor that first. Um, so we got to thinking, when somebody first finds out about lipedema, it's very overwhelming and very, like, once you kind of settle with, okay, this is an actual disease, then it's okay, well then how do I find a diagnosis? So we've had so many women reach out to us and say, can I just call you on the phone and just ask some questions? I just found out about this. And we want to do that, but we couldn't. We literally would never get off the phone. We said yes to every one of those consults. So we tried to think, okay, what's the fastest way to get to everybody? So we've created some online courses. We have a free mini course that answers 2 questions. What is lipedema? How do I get diagnosed? And it utilizes and points people towards some tools that you guys have provided from Lipedema Project. And then we have a comprehensive course on conservative management. And it's a deep dive into all of the things that we can do to manage lipedema, but not just Shawn and I. We've brought in voices of experts in their field with lymphatics and nutrition and hormones and all the things. It's 66 modules of just a very deep dive on what these conservative therapies are, and how to utilize them and why they're important. And we did that because, like we said earlier, information on the internet can be so confusing.
Yes.
And not only that, but, somebody, recently said, well, you could read this book and you can read this book and you can read this book. And it's like, yes, we can and we should. However, how long would that take you? So we wanted to help expedite that process to get women on the road of health as fast as possible. So
Excuse me just a second, Ashley. Gail, can you put up the link so people can know how to find these ladies?
There it is. So so we've just put something out there that all of the information has been everywhere, but it's except for in one place. And so we've put it in this one place that, again, it's not just talking to Shawn and I, but it's also, here is a list. There's a whole, and at the end of the course, that gives people direction to go to Lipedema Simplified, to go to Lipedema Foundation, to go to these trustworthy resources. So it's kind of this like starter pack, honestly, on when you find out about lipedema. And then we also have our online community, the Circle, which Shawn, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so it's an app that you can join, and we meet weekly for Q&As, which has really kind of turned into, I keep saying it feels more like a little support group, where everyone that joins gets to talk. And Catherine might be there this week, which we're excited about, and because we like, our plan is to have guests on like once a month where everyone can just kind of pick their brain. But really, I mean, more than anything, I think the most impactful thing has been what we've talked about this whole time, which is just that community and women just taking a couple minutes to share what's going on. And there's been some people that have connected the dots on, wait, you live here? I live here. Even Ashley, someone was in last week that was like, I live in Tyler. And Ashley's like, huh? Tyler, Texas? Like, I live in Tyler. So things like that. So it's been really fun. And then we throw out little challenges weekly for people to do. And yeah, so that's our online community that we built, and we're hopeful to have more join that soon. But it's been really fun and really, I think, impactful just to have those weekly little support groups.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I think I want to highlight on this is people might be like, why are you guys promoting their programs when you have a community and you have courses? And this is the point, right? In it together, navigating lipedema together. So to have people who are also doing great work be able to promote what they do too, I believe that's how we cure things, right? It's not being siloed or staying, this is mine and we went first. No, like if you resonate with Ashley and Shawn, you should go see them. You should go to their support groups and their take their courses, and that's why we collaborate together. And I think,
and man, we think so much of you guys. Like, I mean, you guys know, people listening don't know, we talked to you guys before we ever did these courses. We've talked to you guys throughout the process. You guys have taught us so much. You've led the way for us. And that's our hope with the next people that come along that want to do something like that. Like there's room for everyone here,
exactly.
you know? So, but I definitely want to throw that out there, and just, I mean, what you're saying, I think, lets everyone know y'all's heart behind it. But you guys have been so, what's the word, Ashley? You're my words person. Just the support you guys have shown us has been incredible, and we're very thankful for that.
So let me say that there are an estimated 17 million women in the USA who have lipedema and don't know it. And one of the things we used to talk about is, well, what if they all find out? This many different avenues.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think too, you know, I like, not only are we advocates for health and for the lipedema community, but we're advocates for one another. And, you know, women, so often we feel like if we're doing the same thing, it's a competition. And it's been so refreshing to have these relationships forged where there's no air of competition. That's not what this is about. It's about let's spread this thing out to help as many people as we can, knowing that when you guys succeed, we succeed, and vice versa, you know?
Yeah, this is the whole point.
Yeah. And I'm so appreciative because, again, we would not be where we are without the work that you guys have done. And that's not anything that we will ever have a short on.
Well, there's lots of love. I mean, that's why we're having this heart to heart, right? I do want to bring the audience in. They have been so patient as we're chatting. But Gail, there's a comment here from Molly Wilson. I think that when we see her comment, it's going to tie us here, because I was like, okay. So Molly says, after losing 55 pounds on keto, what I now understand is cuffing on my left wrist and forearm became apparent. Biceps became different sizes. After ultrasound, MRI, neurological testing, it's not a cyst or a tumor. And they don't want to classify it as fat, but I don't know what it is. And thanks for hearing about this through, Dr. Ken Berry. I'd still be clueless. This is so cool. So Molly, you learned about lipedema because you saw Siobhan Huggins from the Lipedema Project on Dr. Ken Berry's live stream. This is exactly what we're talking. Who knows how they're going to find us? And now, Molly, you can decide on your next steps, whatever works for you, like what's best for your body. But to go through all that, I want to just I think I just want to say to you that that's how I felt too. Like all the different things, ruling stuff out, trying to figure it out, And the fact that you could tune into a Dr. Ken Berry show and figure this out is so awesome. So anybody have a comment for Molly? Because
I
that's
think
just getting there, right?
well, and even just like just leaving your comments saying, this is my story, this is what's going on with me, that just resonated with me because I have that on my wrist. And my grandmother, who she's passed away and was never diagnosed, but I firmly believe she had lipedema, had the same thing. But when I had surgery on my arms, I could feel those that specific area on my wrist that much more. And I asked my doctor about it, and it was kind of the same thing. Like it's not a cyst, it's not like a tumor. But really we didn't know what it was. So hearing you say that is just another like connecting of dots. Like really, okay, wow, that's me too. And it gets the wheels spinning. So that just making a comment like that and sharing your personal story and something going on with you, like you just don't know what that does to the butterfly effect, what that does to get the ball rolling for someone else.
Yeah.
Well, here's what we're going to do, everyone. We are at time, and we have a couple of things we want to make sure you know about from both Ashley and Shawn and Catherine and I. So, Gail, can you drop in the heart-to-heart circles, our tribe circles? So we're having in-person meetups this month. Last weekend was amazing. You're going to see them, but we have more coming. So if you want to meet up and you want to join us, Ashley and Shawn, we don't have one in Texas. Maybe we could co-host one. I don't know.
Yes.
That could be really fun. Right?
Yeah.
That could be fun. Yeah. So please join us there. And then we also, Catherine, we have a pretty important webinar tonight, right?
Yes. Dr. Ali and Siobhan Huggins will be talking about carbohydrates and why, for some of us, they're like demons. That's like that carbohydrate craving. And, there is such a thing as food addiction. The way there is addiction to substances, carbohydrates, not for everyone. If you're one who isn't affected by this, I wish I had your metabolism. But for some of us, carbohydrates do us in. So Dr. Ali is a wonderful doc, and Siobhan Huggins is our research specialist and has done amazing work. So the two of them will be at 4:00 today, 4:00 Eastern time. I always have to remember Eastern time. So we're going to be chatting, and come join us.
Yeah, it's free. Come on down. Yeah, so I think that was it. We had the circles, the webinar. Oh, and we have our 3-day conference in September, right? So we want to make sure people know about that. So we'll drop that link in. And then Shawn and Ashley, I know we've talked about your courses, but do you want to say anything about your podcast? Because I know that helps people too.
Yeah, we just hit, well, I guess it's been a couple of months now. We hit a year on our podcast, and we drop a new episode weekly. And we have professionals on, researchers, surgeons, doctors, that will share different topics. But then we also just have other women that have lipedema, and they'll share their story. And I think that hearing those stories, like there's so many times we hear stories just like the comment that we just read, but we hear stories and we're like, wow, light bulb moment. That's me. I experienced that. So we try to rotate those in as well. And then every now and then Ashley and I will just kind of catch up on life. But yeah, we have a new episode every week, and they are, you can find them on Spotify or Apple Podcast.
Yeah, and they're fun to be on too. I have to say, as hosts, you guys make it so easy. So thank you for having us. Yeah.
We love having you guys.
One more thing, because we have invited Ashley and Shawn to be part of the featured speakers for our conference event in September. So you'll have to be on the lookout for that.
Exciting.
Lots of exciting stuff. So, okay. So Ashley and Shawn, what we ask our guests when we wrap up is one tip, one advice, one golden nugget, one heartfelt sentiment. What would you like to say to the audience, whether they're live with us now or on the replay? And then Catherine will close us out. But I'd love your voice to be brought in. What are your final thoughts?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I would say, one, know that good days are ahead. There are great days ahead. And if you keep seeking truth and keep seeking good community, you're gonna be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of going to go there as well with just the community aspect. And I want to encourage people, if they are like myself, I'm pretty introverted. And so it's hard for me to reach out to find community. It's hard for me to try to get involved in things. But man, this community of women and the lipedema community is different than anything I've been a part of. And so I want to encourage people, if that's you and you're like, oh, that's great for them, but this is not me. I'm not, I can't put myself out there like that. Just try it. It's really going to make a big difference.
Yep.
I love that. Thank you so much. The good days are coming, and don't be alone.
Yeah.
Join the community. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Catherine, what would you like to say to wrap us up today?
I would like to say this is my view from my deck.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
Nice.
moving in a few weeks, and I was down there this weekend, and I can't imagine how I feel like, the universe conspired to design and choreograph this amazing place for me to live. And so I'm moving, and I'm going to be inviting you all to join me by the lake. We're going to be having all.
We're coming.
Yeah.
We're going to bring our 7 kids between the 2 of us.
So absolutely amazing. So I want to say that not only is there a pathway, but it's a pathway that we navigate together. We are finding answers day by day by day. And so come join us in all of that. And thank you, Lisa.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, for everyone here who's live, thank you for chatting with us and being with us. If this conversation meant something to you, help us spread the word. Follow Ashley and Shawn, like and subscribe to our podcast. For those of you on replay, please drop a chat. We do check them out. And just know that navigating lipedema together in these heart-to-hearts is what we believe will help us have those better days in the community and days by the lake. So thanks for being here, everyone. Make it a great day.
Bye.
Bye.